Nephew of NBA star John Wall was convicted today of attempted second-degree murder. The road rage shooting in Germantown left a young woman in a wheelchair. Tonight, we're talking with her about the ordeal and her anger that she wasn't allowed inside the courtroom because of her disability. Fox 5's Lindsay Watts is in Rockville.
The woman shot in this case was 19 years old when this happened. She says she is determined to get rid of that wheelchair and walk again.
When I was in the hospital, I remember that first week there, and I couldn't even sit up on my bed. Like, I would literally just flop back down.
Elimar DePaula has made incredible progress in the last 2 years. Forced to relearn how to walk after a stranger on the road changed her life at age 19.
Those are supposed to be your best years of your life, and I feel like they kind of got robbed from me, you know?
It was this man, DeAndre Wall, who got angry at DePaula's then-boyfriend for cutting him off in Germantown. So angry, he followed them.
Mr. Wall unloaded 5 shots into this car.
A bullet went through the passenger seat into DePaula's back. Doctors told her her spinal cord was severed. Wall is the nephew of former Washington Wizards player John Wall. During trial, it was revealed the suspect texted Wall about the gun he bought, then texted again after the crime. He shared a community bulletin about the shooting, saying he might need a lawyer and asking his uncle to get him a hotel room out of state. Wall agreed.
Confirmation that the shooter in this case was discussing this with John Wall.
State's Attorney John McCarthy also tells us that after the victim in the case testified, she wasn't allowed in the courtroom to watch the rest of the trial. Prosecutors say the judge ruled DePaula being in a wheelchair could be prejudicial.
What was your reaction to that?
It kind of just caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting them to deny me like something that should be my right.
DePaula says she feels she was discriminated against because of the wheelchair. She was able to watch the trial on Zoom, but says all she could see was the judge.
Yeah, I wanted to be there for my ex-boyfriend's testimony.
She will get to be there for Wall's sentencing in January. He's facing up to 60 years behind bars. DePaula says every day she gets stronger, vowing to defy the doctors who told her she wouldn't walk again. And when she faces the man responsible,
I would tell him that I forgive him.
and she says it's taken her a lot of time to get to this point. State's Attorney McCarthy says when it comes to the victim not being allowed in the courtroom, he hasn't seen anything like this in his 40-year career. We'll be following up. Back to you.
Shalom. First and foremost, I give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Yahweh being the true and worldly God's God, Ba'ashem in the name of, and Yahushai being the true and worldly world, called Jesus, which is our Lord and Savior. And the Kakadash being the Holy Spirit. So, today's lesson, I'm basically gonna go over, it's quick, it's quick news, quick, news I came across, and as we just watched, Nephew, of John Wall. John Wall is an NBA player, if you're not familiar. So his nephew, ended up, basically paralyzing the woman, He got so mad, there was road rage. So he got so mad that, he followed the couple. And he ended up, shooting, 5, shots in their car. And ultimately, he paralyzed, the woman, he paralyzed, this Edomite, and that's just showing, how the love of many is waxing cold, man. So he paralyzed her to the point that, she's still learning how to walk right now. She's still learning how to move, how to operate, and this is only the beginning. In the time of Jacob's trouble, these men, especially men, Jake is not going to be putting up with Esau anymore, Jake's not going to be putting up with Karen, Jake is going to have fierce vengeance upon, Bob, Elizabeth, all these, Edomites, and just in general, the heathen, and, the spirits of vengeance is really coming out, man. So that's crazy, there was a spirit on him, for him, to basically judge that woman, And that's just crazy, man. All over road rage, she ended up paralyzing the woman, but ultimately, that's judgment from the Lord, man. Let's get into the precepts. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 12, and it reads, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Let's read that again. "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." So ultimately, iniquity Since iniquity, is rising, and erecting at such a high rate, wickedness, is around it, basically, increasing at a high rate. The love of many shall wax cold. So the Lord's gonna have the spirit on people, to no more have that nice spirit. So people out here coming with vengeance, man. Usually, a road rage incident, you'll put up the middle finger, say fuck you or something, or something, and then it would be done. But this man, he followed her, man, as we watched in the video, man. He followed her, put 5 clips, in the shop, in the car, and paralyzed the woman, man. Basically beat her to paralyzation, man. This shit's crazy, So to many, these spirits, are really increasing. I'm gonna get one more precept to close this out. You can never stop, using these precepts, man. These precepts, man. One precept, you could use on hundreds of scenarios in this world, man. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 39, verse 28, to close it out. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their face and appease the wrath of them that made them. Let's read that again. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, so ultimately, the Lord, has created spirits, for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes in the time of destruction. And right now, it's a time of destruction. Now it's just a prelude, In a couple months, or a year from now, when Jacob's trouble comes, times are really going to come to very bad, And in the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease them, the wrath that made them. So ultimately, the Lord has wrath, The Lord, created the darkness and he created the light, Isaiah 45:7, So ultimately, be prepared for more spirits. Be prepared for more news like this to come out, So, Lord willing, you edified. I'd like to say, Barak Tehal, Barak Tehal Shai, Barak Tehal, Barak Tehal Shai, by Shimon Kakadash, Shalom.